I just start whenever, huh? Thanks for coming. I just have actually several announcements. The first, probably the most exciting one, is that new season tickets are going on sale. They'll be going on sale on Monday, I believe. A lot of the particulars you can get from Drew and Brad. They're here. They've worked really, really hard on this. I haven't really I have not been very involved in the specifics of it, so they can give you a lot more details. I've really just been kind of hounding them on maybe getting them out. So they're probably not too excited to see my next email. Actually, they'll be excited to not see my next email, but been very forceful about trying to do this. We really need to, I don't want to say fix attendance, more like, change attendance. Fall out of the top 25 has been, damaging to our program and our brand, and we have to get ourselves back. And I consider that as big a goal of mine this year as any, is to find a way to fill the pit back up. I think getting these tickets on sale, I believe they go out Monday, June the 5th, will be really big for our program. I'm going to give, and I don't exactly know what yet, but 50 items from the basketball office to the first 50 people that sign up. It could be a T-shirt. It'll depend on the size of who they are. But anyone that's willing to sign up for a new account, I'll send whatever I can. I believe renewals will go out shortly after that. Those people's tickets are still reserved. And I'll do my best at that point to take care of them as well. I don't want to neglect the loyal fan that we have here. So exciting moment for that. Don't want it to take away from either women's basketball or football, who we also want to be able to support those programs as well. But for me personally, obviously getting these tickets on sale was a big move, and really looking forward to pushing these the rest of the summer and heading into the fall. We have completed our coaching staff. I think it's kind of out there a little bit. Added Jerome Robinson as kind of our last addition. keeping Chris Harriman, and obviously added Mark Shue a little bit earlier after I got here. And really excited about our staff. It's a staff with great energy, great enthusiasm, commitment to their craft, and I really look forward to working with all of them. And I think they all bring some really unique things to our program that is going to make it very successful. Our roster is still in a state of flux, as you can see here, and I spoke a little bit last night. I think when I first got here, that gap in time between when Craig left and when I got here, I think a lot of our players and signees were getting recruited. And I think by the time I got here, it was probably a little late in that process for some of those guys. Jalen Harris comes to mind, some of the kids that were in their NLIs. By the time I got here, it was almost too little too late. And they had kind of made their decisions, I think, to move on and look at other programs. And I don't know if we necessarily got a real opportunity to give those guys a chance, to be a Lobo. I think now these changes are guys that were committed to the program and are committed to me. But as we get into more specific conversations about what their roles may be, what my expectations are for our program, these are kind of a little bit different conversations. So, here is one, and we'll kind of see how the next few weeks kind of transpires with the rest of our roster. The rest of the summer schedule, the guys will be getting back here this weekend-ish. We'll start next week with our summer program. I am going to be in and out a little bit this summer. I'm going to be working with the Canadian Junior National Team, and I'll be here for our camps, and I'll be here for the majority of our workouts, but I am going to be out of the country at times traveling and working with that team. But I feel really good about our staff in place and their ability to kind of execute our summer program. Game schedule, I know Jeff did a story on that. That's really about where it stands right now. We have a last game or two to finish up. One of them is going to involve opening weekend, where we're trying to bring as many in-state teams as we can to the pit, give them an opportunity to play here, and just kind of give New Mexico basketball an opportunity to kind of kick off. And I want to incorporate as many teams and programs from around this state as we can, kind of just to make it a very fun New Mexico basketball weekend. I don't want to necessarily get selective with we're going to play this team or we're going to play that team, and teams kind of, feeling left out. Want to give them all an opportunity to come here for their own recruiting and their own branding and their own ability to develop their own programs. So, really want to make sure that we open our arms up to all the schools in the state at various levels and make them feel a part of our program. And I think that opening weekend is a start. I don't think this coming season is going to be the perfect vision of that. It's really about us just kind of getting it off the ground. I don't know exactly what it's going to look like, but I'm really hopeful that in time we can really make it into a really fun weekend that a lot of people get behind and really support basketball in this state. You know, basketball is such an important part of this state. I think something like this could be a really cool opportunity to bring a lot of different levels and people together. With that, we're also going to have camps. They're going to start next week. We have a day camp. And for kids, we're having a team camp, which has been exceptional. The amount of commitments we've had, we're over 70 teams right now. And I've had our ops guy, Ryan Behrman, go back, and we can't find when we've had this many teams at our team camp. So really excited about the amount of people that have committed to come, be a part of this. We're recruiting every day, not only players for our program, but coaches for our program, people for our program. So hopefully that's a good sign of the things that we've been doing. And we're also going to have an elite camp, and that's not necessarily an elite camp just for Lobo basketball. I want all the teams in this state to be able to come and recruit players, not only from this city, but from this region and from this state. So, you know, we've kind of offered it up to anyone that wants to come, but particularly very good players from this area that even if they're not necessarily going to become a Lobo, they might be able to become a member of another college in this state, and it's a good opportunity for them to come out and see a lot of good players in one spot. So, you know, my job isn't always necessarily just for Lobo basketball. It's about helping basketball to people in this city and in this state, and if this is something that can help and do that, then obviously it's something I want to be a part of and we want to be a part of. That's really about it as far as announcements I had to make. I don't know if anybody has any questions.
What do you think, in terms of existing players that have still been on, any chance that any are still possibly going to do what Weir did and make a late decision to still leave the team? Is there a chance of that?
I'd say it's possible. I'm not going to sit here and say likely or unlikely. I think those are conversations that I'll have with them individually, and as we kind of get back into camp here and really get to work and start to establish some things, there are some guys that may start to think a little bit more about how they fit into this, not necessarily do I like this coach or not, or do I want to play for this coach or not, or do I want to be a Lobo or not, but now how do I actually fit into this, and is this going to be something that's going to be productive or meaningful for me? So as we start to go down the road with some of those guys, you know, maybe they'll think a little bit differently.
At this point, are Monday classes being started by everybody?
At this point right now, the returners are back. Chris McNeil will be here. Ja'Kai Simmons will be here. Troy Simmons will be joining us for summer session 2. And Antono Jackson is going to be taking this summer to graduate from Akron, so he won't be joining us till the fall. Probably a combination of things. You know, the way offensively we've talked a lot about style of play here, but I think offensively we're going to change quite a bit. And I think our guards and our perimeter players need to be very multifaceted, very good shooters. It's kind of what we've been trying to get. In 1 through 3, we need guys that can handle the ball, shoot the ball, use ball screens, and play. And that wasn't necessarily something that he fit into. And I think the alternative for him was something that really wasn't very exciting for him.
Coach, in your most objective evaluation of your program right now, what is Lobo basketball? Who is Lobo basketball? The state of Lobo basketball?
You know, I don't really take a whole lot of time to sit back and reflect on those things. We're just trying to push this thing as far forward every day that we can. Eric Spolstra says try and get 1% better every day. That's probably something that we're trying to do right now. Just turn an aircraft carrier around day by day, bit by bit, change the culture, players, staff, how we train, how we play, hopefully at some point. So right now it's really about just grinding each and every day on things to hopefully make our program better.
Big signees, bigs, decided to go elsewhere. Do you have enough depth in the middle, do you believe, if you stay the way you want into
You know, I'll be honest with you, I'm not necessarily the most optimistic guy every day, but I am a little bullish on our roster. I like how we're built. I like our depth at guard. I like our ability to shoot the ball. I love our speed. We are a little light up front. I don't think that's anything we can hide. I think we're maybe a player too short there. We have some open scholarships. I'm hopeful that we'll find guys that could potentially fill that void. If we don't and we have to look more long-term with recruiting, then that's what we'll do. That's the balance of making decisions right now. You know, are we going to try and fill our roster out just to fill it out, or are we going to really fill it out with high-level players that I think can really impact our program? And that's you know, we're looking for a home run right now, to be honest with you. So, I mean, that's how we're going to kind of flesh it out. We are a little light up front, and that's something that if this was our roster right now in November, you know, we'd have to make probably even more adjustments to our style of play. But I don't think we're done yet.
The way the transfer market is now, you're finding that there are people available, but you just got to find people to fit what you're doing.
Yeah, I mean, I think both things. I mean, the transfer market's intense. I mean, we're up almost 700. I looked this morning. I forget what it was, 680 or 690. Transfers are everywhere, and they're getting recruited at a lot higher level than they used to, both traditional transfers and graduate transfers. So right now, we just have to weigh how much are we really willing to wait a year for a guy, as opposed to how much worse or better is the alternative of a guy that can step in and play right away. And those are conversations we have every day about hundreds of kids.
Are you worried, concerned at all yet about the balance of your roster right now in terms of classes? You don't have any freshmen. It's going to be a high turnover in 3 years or however that happens, but usually classes are balanced with a certain number of freshmen and sophomores. You guys haven't gotten any freshmen or incoming freshmen yet.
I mean, I think it's a little outdated. I think the idea of bringing in 4 freshmen and they're all going to graduate as 4 seniors 4 years later is kind of lost in this game nowadays. I think the reality is at whether it's quite this level or not, when you bring in kids and they have the ability to graduate transfer, those kids are going to explore those things. So if you bring in either a high school kid and he worked quickly like the kid at Akron did, or you bring in a transfer and he's already a year ahead of that process, I mean, those are things kids are looking to do nowadays. So, you know, for me to go out and find 4 high school freshmen in the 18 class, odds are we'll have 1 at graduation. So I don't want to necessarily just marry myself to we're going to balance the classes and bring in high school freshmen every year. At this point, I'm just doing whatever I can to make the 17, 18 Lobos the best they can be. And with that, you also have to have a little bit of an eye in the future.
And there's only 1 sophomore coming on the team, too. David Jefferson's in a sophomore, right, too.
Yep.
So those are 2 of the 4 classes that you only have one scholarship devoted to right now. So it seems a little backloaded that in the next couple of years you're going to have a lot of turnover.
But yeah, no question. I would say potential result. We're going to have a lot of turnover this year. So, you know, we've just got to keep putting together a team every year that we think fits what we're trying to do, and obviously just make it the best it can be. I don't want to rebuild. I don't want to reload. I don't want to take 2 years. I want to win right now, and then next year I want to win that year. This isn't. I think a lot of teams that kind of wait on those years sometimes are the ones that get burned because of whatever it may be, injuries, kids leaving, etc.
Coach, you mentioned you got to fill the pitch. The guys you brought in, is that kind of a, we want to win now. We have to win now.
No question.
Help fill that good seats.
Exactly right. I mean, these fans that are going to come to the games, either the new ones or the ones that were reluctant, we're going to get one chance, you know, and it's my job, it's our job as a team to sell those people on how good we are, how good we're going to become, and how we play. So, you know, me going out there and say this is just a lost season, we're going to rebuild because we lost Tim Williams and Elijah Brown and everybody else, I just don't think that's going to sit well with anybody. It's not going to sit well with me either. So, you know, we're just trying to do everything we can every day to exceed whatever low expectations people have for us this year.
This is the second year in a row, second spring in a row that you've been the new guy on campus trying to kind of make his own mark,
Sure.
identity. What are the similarities to what you were going through a year ago, trying to prove to people you weren't just the next Marvin,
Yep.
and now coming in and trying to prove that you are going to have a whole new brand of local basketball? What are the similarities?
You know, I wish I could, like I said, I really don't sit back and do a lot of big picture thinking. It's really just day in and day out doing everything we can do to get better. I think there's some similarities by just being a new coach and walking into making decisions on staff members, on coaching. On staff members, on players, on recruiting, all the different facets of the program. I think as a new coach, you're inevitably going to become involved with. The difference was last year, I obviously had a very good understanding of everything going on in the program, and my transition was really smooth. This one I wouldn't necessarily isn't smooth. There's just a lot more for me to do as far as people to know, things to learn to kind of get us further along.
What have you learned at this point about the players on your roster and their personalities and how the game's at?
You know, it's to be determined in a lot of ways. We worked out a few times in the spring. We trained a little bit in the spring. To us, or for me and for us right now, is really about our culture. It's really about establishing a group of guys that are going to be committed to working really, really hard, increasing their workload, being willing to do that, and then also being willing to be unselfish. And if anybody in our program either doesn't necessarily like to work hard or wants to be selfish in some capacity, then eventually that's going to be weeded out. And I'd really prefer that to be sooner rather than later. So all we've tried to do, from when I got here to now is continually teach, educate, demonstrate how we want this thing to be. And I think the guys that are here right now are committed to that process. Now, going through that process is the next step. We can all think we want to do something, but then going through it is another deal. So if it was important for you to have the name on the back of your jersey, now we're going to find that out. If it was important for you to have certain things that maybe you've had in the past or you think you deserve, those are the things you're not going to have now. And how are you going to respond to that? Are you still going to be committed to our team? Are you still going to be committed to the teammate next to you? Or are some of those individual-oriented things going to creep up? And when they do is obviously when we both have decisions to make.
We heard a lot before you were hired, the players saying, I want to have a relationship with the head coach. I want to know he cares about me. Is that your philosophy to try to build an individual relationship with each guy on the team?
I mean, from a coaching perspective, I think it's extremely important just because I think you have to coach and teach each kid differently. I think we all have the same goals, but I think each individual player has a way by which I need to get to them the best to get there. So that's my job, really, to get to know them and eventually, inevitably, be able to coach them on the other end.
You've kind of dropped into UNM athletics at a pretty unique time. What would you say about this athletic department since you've been here that maybe you didn't expect, or how would you not critique, but how would you describe this athletic department right now?
To be totally honest with you, Jeff, anything outside of the men's basketball department is really not my jurisdiction to comment on. I probably haven't even been here long enough to tell you even what I think. Every day I'm just trying to do what I can for men's basketball. Does that creep into marketing because I'm bugging them about getting tickets on sale? Does that creep into compliance because I'm asking a million questions about a recruit? Of course it does. So I have my interactions with the different functions of our department. But at the end of the day, they all believed in me enough to hire me. It was a gutsy call to hire me, and I know that, and I appreciate that. I'm very loyal to them for giving me this opportunity, and I'll do anything I can in return to continue to help them.
Is there anything about being here that surprises you in either bad way? Maybe you thought it was going to be easy and it's not?
Jeff Grammer was a really nice guy when I was coaching at New Mexico State. And when I got to my first press conference, I was like, wow, I've never seen that Jeff Grammer before. So just kind of getting used to the different temperatures around the state.
Coach, in your early moments of your press conference when you were introduced here, you alluded to the respect you had for Norm Allenberger type basketball.
Sure.
Half-court trap, full-court press, fast break, high flying, slamma, jamma.
Yep.
Is that your philosophy? That's fun
Yep.
to the fans.
Yeah, I mean, it's not really just that. I'm not sitting here saying we're going to play that style because I want to be like Norm or we want to just appease the fans. We're going to do that style because it gives us our best chance to win. I mean, the reality is we are a little undersized. The reality is we lack one or two McDonald's All-Americans on our team. What we have is our depth. What we have is our teamwork. What we have is our elevation. What we have is our speed, our shooting ability. So those kinds of things I think are going to lend themselves to success. I'm not here trying to propel some cause, just to make nostalgic people happy. I'm here to win, and that's really what it's about. So if for whatever reason at some point along the way I feel as though we have to change some kind of style to win, then we'll look at that at that time. But right now, I am committed to that style. I think it's going to help us win a lot of games. We're recruiting for it. We're building for it. We're practicing for it. We're training for it. And then hopefully in November we'll play for it at a good enough level that people don't want to fire me.
Are you still working on trying to get like some big name teams on the schedule? And if so, how hard is it to get some of those guys to come here?
So what would you classify Arizona, Van? Is that just kind of
I know
like
that. I'm talking about like
No,
other,
I understand.
Okay, more teams. Just
Yeah, I mean, to me, the biggest thing right now is I've really tried to commit myself to kind of regional teams. So we have reached out to UTEP to continue that series. I think we're going to do a new 4-year agreement there. Did talk to Arizona about continuing it. I don't think we're going to be able to continue it this following year, but I believe the year after that, there's some hope there we can get that going. We obviously just started one with Colorado. I've had conversations with Texas Tech, and I think we'll be able to start one there. Potentially BYU. I mean, I think being able to create as many of these regional rivalries as possible to where however we want to structure them and whoever's home and away, we're getting at least a few of those historic teams in here every year that the fans can relate to, and we can kind of generate or regenerate, some of those historic moments that, right now we have with New Mexico State and we have with UTEP, we potentially have with Arizona. If we can get 5 or 6 of those games on the schedule every year, however they end up getting divvied up home and away, I think it would be good.
But if you seem to have kind of an open door policy, is that all part of giving back to the community and bring them into the level of rec basketball program as a whole?
I'm just a regular guy, so at the end of the day, I really want our team to feel that way. The city of Albuquerque is our team, so we have to make sure that we're connecting and resonating with them. This really isn't just about the suite holders. This really isn't just about the people that give a lot of money. We need them. I'm very thankful for them, but that's not Albuquerque and that's not UNM, and we got to make sure that our brand and our team resonates with those people. We're blue collar. We're going to work our butts off. We're going to give it every single thing we got. We might not have all the gifts. We might not have all those things. So the last thing I want is our team or our program to be thought of as entitled or better than anything or anyone. We just got to put our boots on and go to work every day, and that's part of that initiative is just us going out in the community and saying, hey, like we're just like you, and hopefully you feel like we're a part of you as well.
What has the pace been like for you, just trying to get everything going and trying to get everything set up like you wanted, and then like you're moving down stuff from all these moving pieces?
Yeah.
What has that been like for you?
I mean, you wish you can get it all done in one day or in one moment, and it just doesn't stop, and I referenced it earlier. It's, Eric Spolster, just get 1% better every day. Like, just keep chipping away at this thing every single day and hope that there's a compound effect somewhere in there to where at some point we're going to see some multipliers and be a pretty good team.
Have you heard from any or all of the other coaches in the league, and if so, how did those conversations go?
We had conversations. We had conference meetings a few weeks ago. I was there. I mean, I didn't really say a word. Kept my mouth shut. They've all won a lot more than me and been here a lot longer than me. I'm just here to try and make our team the best they can be and hope at some point along the way we can be successful in the Mountain West.
So if you're looking for a big that can step in and play, you're going to have to get either a junior college guy that's eligible or a high school guy.
The reality is at this time of year, most bigs are dry. It's dried up a little bit, but we're still swinging. We're still working. I'm hopeful that we'll be able to still find a guy or two that I think will help our team this year. If that happens to be a guard and we have to move everybody up a spot, that's something we'll look at. If that happens to be a wing, it's a wing, a big. I mean, we just really right now have to improve our talent level, our overall depth level, and I don't want to bring in a big just to bring in a big. I want to bring in the best players we can to make this team the best they can be. We'll adjust accordingly. Do I like this being light up front? I don't. But at the same time, I'm not just going to make a foolish decision to kind of make myself feel better or kind of follow some kind of tradition of having a certain amount of big men on your team.
Coach, how long can you wait on the players that we have on our team right now in order to decide whether they're going to leave, whether they're not going to leave summer school?
Yeah, I mean, initially I really wanted it to be June 5th, but I also think that when I got here, there was so much going on for them, for me, for us as a program, that we were all just going a million miles an hour, me getting to know them getting to know me. And when they left and went home, it was like, guys, this is your time to maybe reflect, hit reset, think about those things we talked about. In the heat of the moment, there's a lot of different emotions going on. And I really want to make sure we come to the right decision on every single kid on this roster. And I think them going home, thinking about things, me thinking about things, and then kind of having those conversations all over again, which is kind of what we've been doing this week. Sometimes that's more productive. And, I don't want to be on I wanted it to be June the 5th, and I felt that way when they left. But as I had time to think about it, I really just want to do what's best. So I don't want to just marry myself to this June 5th deadline when there's maybe a guy or two, or we still have to have more conversations. And here was one of those, and it eventually came last night. If there's another player on this team that it goes on a little longer, I'm okay with that. Right now, it's about just doing what's best for the program. It's not about fulfilling some certain timeline or anything of that nature.
Is your plan to get them all into summer school? Is that what you try to do each year?
Right now, the goal will be yes. So the 2 newcomers that are coming in are all set to go. The other 2 newcomers still have academic stuff to do. They can't join us yet. They're going to join us as the summer and fall progress.
Any other questions?
One
Thank
more.
you. Yep.
On your keychain is a key that opens one of the most famous arenas in the country, if not planet Earth. What does that mean to you, and what does your job mean to you early on? How do you like what you have?
I'll be really honest in this answer. I got asked that question a lot when I was a head coach for the first time last year. I've been asked this question a lot since I became a head coach here. And I'm not really a very reflective person. I'm not really a big picture kind of person. I really just try and do my job every day. But when you drive past or drive into the pit every single day, it's really hard not to just pinch yourself and say, I'm the luckiest guy on the planet right now. So it happens. And I immediately say, Paul, it's time to get back to work. We got to do this, we got to do that. But, this arena, this place, this city is special, and I'm honored to be a part of it. Thanks, man.